Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Leanne and today I wanted to share my favorite spring decks. I know it's almost summer, but spring showed up more than a little late where I live and I just wasn't feeling it. In fact, it's still a little chilly for the season, but it's supposedly supposed to warm up later this week. I'm really looking forward to that. I did post another video a couple years ago, decks with a spring vibe, which I will link below. But this time I really wanted to share my most favorite decks for spring. It was initially meant to be my top spring decks, counting down to my most favorite, but I was too undecided and it was starting to make me feel really stuck, and I pretty much love them all anyway. So I chose these decks because of their colors, their imagery, and how they make me feel. And so for this video, I will start with my favorite indie decks for spring, followed by my favorite mass market decks. And typically I try to balance between, or to have a balance between my indie and my mass market decks. But for this video, I went with my favorites, and the indie decks do outnumber the mass market decks this time. I will include timestamps below so you can jump ahead to different segments, and I will also leave available purchase links below. So with that, let's get started. Okay, so first on the list is the Heroine Tarot, and I chose this one partly because of the soft pastel colors, and partly because so many of the outfits remind me of spring. Even though I don't celebrate Easter now, I weirdly associate ruffles with Easter Sunday. And even the glossy cardstock makes me think of shiny new shoes on Easter. The colors and Gina's use of white space gives this deck a fresh vibe, and I really like that. It just feels light and airy like spring. I mentioned this before. I didn't actually expect to get good readings with this deck to begin with, but it's really turned out to be a pretty decent reader for me. So I just really love it more than I ever expected to. I love her outfit. This next deck is the Earth Child Tarot. It is a new favorite and one that I especially love for spring. I just love the light and playful imagery of this deck. It makes me feel happy. I think this deck could also be placed in the summer category as well, but it mostly feels like spring to me. I just love the spring greens and the purples and the pinks in this deck. The energy feels joyful and healing. And after a really long winter indoors, I find myself gravitating towards this deck almost daily. I think this is the 2025 edition. And I think she has the option of the silver rainbow edges or the plain polished edges, and I went with the plain edges. I just prefer them. And as far as I know, at the time of this video, you can still purchase this deck on Etsy and on other other online tarot shops. So I will link that below. But isn't it just the sweetest? It makes me so happy. Too cute. I love this double card. Next on the list is the Honey Night Mini Tarot, and I just love this little deck. The soft pastel colors and the whimsical images of this deck. Let me see if I can get this in focus. Really remind me of spring. And this is actually the mini version. Let me see. There, is that better? This is the mini version, which was discounted due to misspellings. And there's a larger, or there was a larger pocket size edition of this deck, but it has been out of print for a little while now. However, I just found out that the pocket size is finally available for pre-order. I think it's supposed to be released sometime this month. And at the time of this video, it can be purchased on Etsy or other online shops. But isn't this, look at this. Does this not remind you of spring? And also how cute. It's just the sweetest deck I have ever seen. I love this strength card. I'm really excited that they are finally releasing the larger size, which is still small. It's more like a, this is mini, so that would be more like a pocket size, I think, from what I've seen in other videos. But oh my gosh, look at that. So this next one was a last minute addition, and I'm not sure why, because the Mother Tarot gives off a total spring vibe, in my opinion, and I just love it. I just love this deck. I mean, to me, this is, I mean, I guess it could be spring, it could be summer as well, but it really does make me think of spring. And I love the colors. I'm not really sure which edition this is. I don't know if it's the first or second edition, but I just saw that there's actually a newer edition, I think the third edition, and that one has turquoise edges, whereas this one has gold edges. It actually looks really pretty. I wouldn't mind having the one with the turquoise edges, which is interesting because I typically don't like foiled edges, but sometimes they just work. But yeah, this deck really does make me think of spring. There is some nudity in this deck, which I'm trying to avoid it. Not because it bothers me. Woo, there you go. Not because it bothers me, but I don't want to get kicked off YouTube, and also I don't want to offend anyone either. So next on the indie list is the Kei Tarot Love. It is hard not to think of spring when I look at this deck. This is actually one of my top personal decks. The colors are just really soft and soothing, and I reach for it a lot. But there's a lot of spring imagery in this deck. I just think it's so beautiful. I mean, look at that. The spring flowers and the hearts. I really love her use of color. Very spring. Okay, so the last indie deck on the list is the TaRat Tarot. I love the Rabbit Tarot as well, and both of these decks make me think of spring, but the TaRat Tarot is my absolute favorite. While rabbits probably make more sense for spring, the soft colors and imagery of the TaRat Tarot works well for this season. I just adore this deck. You look at that. You can see the spring greens and the pastel blues and the pinks. There's a lot of spring foliage. So cute. I actually like the size of this deck, which is poker size. So adorable. The first mass market deck on the list is Mystical Moments Tarot. So much of this imagery and the colors in this deck make me think of spring. My connection with this deck, as I mentioned in another video, was unexpected. I was drawn to the art, but I wasn't sure how it would actually read for me. And it is just, I think it reads really well. I love it, and it never gets put on the shelf. It's just always close by. But look at that. A lot of spring images and colors. I would say that the majority of this deck reminds me of spring. The yellows and the pinks. I love this Three of Cups. This lady's imagination is just insane. Just gorgeous. Next up is the Zerner Farber Tarot, also known as the Enchantment Tarot. This one is the 2023 edition. It is my favorite edition. I love that it's borderless. I love how it feels, and I'm really enjoying the size a lot. And this deck just says spring to me. The colors, a lot of the imagery, the butterflies, the flowers. It just has a spring vibe. I mean, look at that Queen of Hearts. Last on the list is the Carlotydes Tarot, or Tarot de Carlotydes. This one, I love the soft and simple color palette. It's very minimalistic, in my opinion. A lot of the colors and the illustrations make me think of spring. Look at this Death card. This deck is sweet and quirky all at the same time. It's so much fun to work with. I really like the size. It feels good in the hands, and it shuffles amazing. And also, look at the backs. I mean, come on. Okay, and that is it for my favorite spring decks. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And let me know if you like my deck choices for spring, and let me know what your personal spring deck favorites are. Thanks again, and take care. Bye.